Good morning, good afternoon. Good to see you all. We'll be starting in just a moment. Good morning, good afternoon. I always do that, but thank you there, Kurt. Welcome to Tech Talk. My name is Tri Nguyen. I am Zyxel's Market Development Manager here in Zyxel, North America. I've been here for 16 years now, just celebrating 16 years with over 21 years experience in the networking industry. And I'd like to just thank you for being here. Good morning, good afternoon. Hope you grabbed a cup of coffee. We're going to talk about a really cool, exciting topic that I'm really excited about, of course. We get to sneak peek at the new USG Flex, and that's what we're going to be talking about and covering. But I want it to be interactive, so please use the Q&A section and use that to answer any questions, or message me if you can't hear me. That's another thing as well. But hopefully we can go through this and really quick. There's a lot of you here, so I'm super excited that you can be here, because I think this is one of those topics that will interest you a lot. Just by a show of hands real quick, how many of you already buy the USG series or have deployed USG products or even our firewalls? Thank you, Kurt. Dave, Matthew, James, David, Randy, pretty much everybody here. So you guys are all excited about, hey, what's coming up next? And this is the next iteration of products that we'll have available for SMB. So again, hit me up on the chat or hit me on the Q&A, and we'll get to those in line, or we can discuss it at the end as well. I do like it to be more interactive, so yeah, just take that time and take that opportunity to ask questions and such. But thank you for joining the webinar. if you can survive, basically survive and make it to the end of the webinar, you qualify for a $50 Amazon gift card that our marketing team will be looking at the list and finding one at random and sending it out and contacting you. So again, thank you for being here. So a little bit about Zyxel. If you guys don't know about us, I just wanted to cover real quick. We've been in the industry for 30 years. We are based out of Anaheim, California, like a home of Disneyland. 100 million devices making global connections, 600 employees worldwide in the Zyxel Networks brand. So you may notice that Zyxel used to be Zyxel Communications. So Zyxel Communications now is two companies. One is the communications arm for our telco service provider business, and Zyxel Networks worldwide is now focused on like the SMB networking products for the business class kind of products. So 700,000 businesses work smarter with Zyxel solutions, and we serve 150 markets globally. So you'll see our logo. This will be our logo. It's pretty much, you know, business as usual from maybe your standpoint, but for us, it becomes very focused onto the channel business side of things. We are internationally recognized, our innovation and design, both hardware, software around the world. We pride ourselves that we do have our own R&D, which really comes into play how we interact with our partners. We've been certified, and we're proud to be one of the few. I think there's only 5 vendors in the world right now that have this distinction of being certified for 20 years with ICSA certification, meaning that all of our security products have been certified, have been checked for different interoperabilities, and also for our implementations of security and firewall rules and such. So we are proud to be recognized for that. Unfortunately, there was supposed to be an award that was delivered to us. It was supposed to be handed to us at the last RSA conference in San Francisco, but unfortunately, because of the whole situation with travel and all that, that whole ceremony portion of it wasn't done. So I believe that our people in headquarters in Taiwan, they may have received the actual plaque. So I'm trying to grab and get a picture of that as well to include. But we are solution driven. We want to drive what our clients need. So that's where the ecosystem of you being able to interact with us as partners, as clients, as customers, or your customers may be communicating to you as well, or maybe what you're seeing in the industry, you're able to feed that back to us. And then we're able to feed that back to our R&D resources, who can then make changes to the software, add functionality to the product itself. So we pride ourselves in being able to do that and deliver a solution for partners. We offer a comprehensive portfolio end-to-end: security appliances, wireless solutions, internet connectivity. I don't know why it says F8RN8 there, but hey, it's a little typo. Gateway access solutions and network management software. So we pretty much anything that is connected to an internet or Ethernet or a network, whether it be wireless, fiber, whatever, Zyxel has something. So that's really the mentality that I want to bring forth and kind of deliver to you, that when you do have any kind of networking needs, I want you guys to think, hey, what does Zyxel have? And that's, we most likely will have some sort of solution that will apply for any of your applications. So today we wanted to talk about, business security needs in the SMB specifically, because that's where we really focus on, and that's where our niche market is, and really our focus in delivering solutions for that SMB. SMB needs expertise from partners like yourself to deal with different issues related to security, network security, employee access for remote, and also be able to handle increasing speeds, right, of the network. So threat statistics, some things to think about. 54% of small businesses think that they're too small to have a cyber attack. That's the common mentality, even in the industry of like insurance. I live in California, so earthquake insurance is one of those things where people they don't usually buy because they're like, well, it happens once every 30 years or who knows. So we don't buy it. So it won't affect me. But of course, when something happens, that's when all the insurance like skyrockets. So it's similar to this case where networking threats for small businesses, they don't realize they need it until that something actually happens. So it's usually a bad case scenario because they're stuck in, they're underestimating, they don't understand how to protect themselves against those attacks. So a lot of them really don't know what to do. So that's where I think partners like yourself, building some level of expertise to be able to deliver solutions to them is very helpful. 60% of small businesses that are victims of cyber attack go out of business within 6 months. that could be devastating, obviously, to a business. I mean, even in this kind of scenario, if something happens while in this current situation that we are facing in the world, that was even, add on to even a worst case, or even if connectivity goes down, that could be a big effect to the business. 43% of breach victims are small businesses. So there's really a lot of them that are getting that, and there's 424% increase in small business cyber attacks that happen each year. So I always tell customers that, hey, you may be small, you may think you're small, but you're still part of the same internet that everyone else is, right? Every 39 seconds, there is some sort of hacker attack that happens. 54% of small businesses don't even have a plan in place for reacting to cyber attacks. So not only do they not usually know what to do, they might not even know that something is happening, and they don't even have a plan in place to even deal with the situation. So what do? It's just a matter of time. I think most people's mentality is, it won't happen to me. I'm too small. I'm not on their radar. But the internet, the malware that's out there, the threats that are out there, we're all connected to that same internet. And so therefore, everyone is a potential attack target. And in fact, those are the ones that are most vulnerable that a lot of these attackers will be utilizing, right? The smaller size ones that have no security to launch bigger attacks against, targeted entities or things like that. So I had a poll here. Let me see if I could just enable the poll. Does it let me ask the poll? There's my question. I guess I don't, well, I had a poll. Oh wait, here's the poll. What kind of attacks do your customers experience? Have your customers experienced? So there's a poll that just popped up. Intrusion, remote attack breaches. You can answer multiple questions: ransomware, malware, Trojan infections, denial of service, some sort of data breach. So it looks like a lot of people are getting more about malware, ransomware. Wow, that's quite a bit. All right, so it looks like the majority of them are malware or Trojan infections and ransomware. Maybe a little bit less on the intrusion. That's great. So malware and Trojan seems to be kind of the big aspect of that. And again, it could be a matter of time. A lot of partners that usually deal with situations, your customers are calling you with an issue, right? They basically will say, who is, how do I deal with these kinds of attacks? I've just been hit with ransomware. Can you come and fix it, right? So that's really, again, a matter of time what happens. So really, I think people need to be educated on what to do, how to deal with certain situations, and how to prevent it. And I think for us, we've been presenting UTM services, unified threat management, network management, security for years now. But still, even now, there are people out there and there are customers out there who don't realize that there is that much threat that is going to happen to them. But I think using a solution like what Zyxel has will definitely offer a window into seeing, well, how big of a threat is it out there? Because I think from network management folk or IT people, when you plug in any device, you immediately see on your firewall, different types of port attacks or port scans from all over the internet, right? It immediately tries to find a way to get in. So you're not safe. And I think that's part of showing and showcasing it to your customer, how to see that thing, how to see the threats and be able to show value in what these products offer to you. At the same time, not only are you dealing with more threats or maybe different types of those kinds of threats applications, but your applications that you use in the business itself is needing more speed, right? So businesses are using cloud-based applications, they're connecting more devices. So a lot of those offices, especially now even remote access users, they're trying to make connections to the office. And so they're utilizing those resources and also the WAN speeds that are available there as well. So a lot of businesses are pushing the limits of the existing hardware firewalls, both to maintain security and to maintain a proper speed in order to serve all of those connections. Because users typically have 3 or 4 devices. I typically go in with at least 3 or 4 devices to the office even. We do voice, video, data type applications. You may be doing some background server backups, and now especially when you're remote, you're still trying to do a lot of those things to maintain some of those systems integrities while still maintaining, again, speed and security. Also, ISPs are offering, VDSL connections, cable modems, connections, fiber connections, anywhere speeds from 100 megabits all the way up to a gig. Now there's even discussions with people that we know that are potentially offering multi-gig or even 10 gig connections. So how does a firewall be able to maintain security at those levels of speeds and still maintain, high speed throughput, and be able to do that, in a cost-effective way? Because you can always do it, but you would need something very high end. You don't want to be spending tens of thousands of dollars just for, a small business with a gig connection or something like that. And also, I think it's nowadays it's really easy for customers. Even the end users that are trained to do speed tests, right? We all know how to do a speed test now these days. You just go to a website, you type, you just hit the go button, and it tells you your speed. And that can really, expose like what their firewall is capable of, especially if they're paying for something like, hey, I just got a 300 meg cable service and I'm doing the speed test. And even the cable modem service has their own speed test, and it's showing, less than the 300 megs. That's immediate red flags. Before, we never had an issue because the internet speeds were always lower than the capacity of most of these firewalls. But of course, that's moved at a almost exponential trajectory, and we have to have something that basically keeps up with that. So I wanted to introduce to you the USG Flex, precise flexible protection. The USG Flex is a new hardware that we are launching. We're officially announcing it June 1st. We'll have hardware that's available in the middle of June, but it's brought to you by Zyxel Networks. And really, it's all about high performance capacity and things like that. So USG Flex is built on the high performance hardware that we already use, and it achieves about 500% better throughput than that of the USG series on UTM. So if you're already using USG series, moving to a USG Flex will be natural in terms of configurations. We have tools that will help with that as well. But there's some cool things that are going on. But from a hardware perspective, the enhancements, not only from the firewall, but also the UTM, will be a great performance increase. It also has something that we just enabled, partnered with our friends over at McAfee to do enhanced UTM. It has an enhanced traditional UTM, as well as a cloud-based UTM, including access to counterterrorism, internet referral units, filtering, and things like that. It still has this built-in wireless controller, so you can enable these security functions into the access points, as those access points are extending your network. So be able to control, provision them all within the same box, just like our USG, and flexible management like you see before, the ability to manage remotely through the web interface or command line interface. Now, I bet you one question that you have, if you've been with Zyxel for a while, you probably are asking the question, is it part of Nebula? And the answer will be, yes, it will be, but it currently is not at launch. So that will come at a future date, and we'll have support for that. Now, Express Mode is something that is new. Again, this is what is part of the McAfee engine or technology that we're utilizing. Express Mode's been designed to really improve your performance based, your UTM performance over your stream-based. Remember stream-based technology, it's basically, you're scanning files that are coming through and taking kind of an image, or you'll be able to figure out, hey, is this file as it's coming through, is it a virus or not, right? And so you're doing kind of a deep scan of every file or every packet that comes by. But we're using now an AI technology within the cloud. So you have the option of choosing what we call Cloud Query. And Cloud Query in Express Modes is a way to improve by looking at the file imaging, or basically what it looks like, and compare it to something that is known within the cloud. So we're actually able to do this very quickly, and the performance hit is much lower than the stream-based engine, and it allows for you to do an improved UTM throughput, basically. So USG Flex is kind of in the middle line of, it's not quite the ATP. If you're familiar with our ATP series, that's our flagship models there. ATP also has the Cloud Query engine as well. The big difference between ATP and USG Flex is that ATP can actually do the cloud query and the streaming technology, or the current stream UTM at the same time. Whereas USG Flex, you have to choose one or the other, but both are very effective in terms of how it's scanning and the threat management that it's maintaining on the malware. That's it. And of course, within the cloud, it's able to then also learn. So a lot of the AI learning capabilities of that is also shared within the cloud. So that's also shared across anything that's discovered will also be discovered there and passed on to the devices immediately within the cloud. So it's basically doing hash matching over the cloud. So it's hash matching the file or the document or whatever it may be to see if it's, hey, this has been flagged as malicious or not. And it can give you up to a 2 times performance increase on the UTM based on a normal stream scan. The threat intelligence also evolves with the AI, and it uses a world-leading detection rate through McAfee. But now, of course, the disadvantages of express mode is it doesn't work in isolated environments. If you have something that's not connected to the internet, then of course it can't do a cloud query, right? So you could still use your stream-based, so it can still get updates when you do connect it to the internet of the top signatures, but it needs to be able to have that connectivity in order to make those queries. Mutant malware can be skipped, so anything that's maybe changed, it doesn't have a hash that's in the cloud. That could be a potential risk there. But pretty much anything is as well, even when you're doing deep scans. In deep scan mode, it supports offline protection. It has better protection against mutant malware detection, but its throughput is limited by the hardware. So you either have to get something very high end for your application, or you can get something just that fits. So it's about how do you scale the throughput. The number of signatures is also limited by the hardware as well. We can only put so many signatures into the piece of memory that's on that hardware board. Whereas where in the cloud, you can have basically unlimited number of signatures in the cloud. The hybrid mode is probably your best option. It has the best level of protection, but the disadvantage is that it's going to be higher cost. So you have to find the balance of what kind of level of security I want, right? Do I need the highest end, top end level of security, or just like many of you may be using the USG series now, it's works perfectly for what that small business needs. They don't need the extra sandboxing. They could just use it for cloud query if they just need for the higher speed and still give you, enterprise class type protection. So the performance over previous USGs, it's up to 150% in basically firewall performance and anywhere up to 480% increase in UTM performance. So comparing the USG 40 to its equivalent replacement, which is the USG Flex 100, you'll see that there is a substantial jump from 50 megabits of UTM going to 250 megabits of UTM on the USG Flex 100, right? So it's already 50 going to 250. And this is not counting, so just to be clear, this is not even counting the express mode. So express mode on the UTM for USG Flex is actually in the 400 megabits. I believe it's in the 400 megabits or so. So it's actually even more so from a performance standpoint when you're using the express mode. This is purely stream engine, stream scan based UTM performance. So USG 60 replaced by the USG 200. You'll see there's also an increase from 90 megabits to the similar price point of 400 megabits per second. And also from the USG 110 series going up to the USG Flex 500. Now, if you are familiar with our ATP series, our ATP series naming convention and positioning of the product is going to be in that similar numbering category. So you'll see there's an equivalent ATP 100, ATP 200, and ATP 500 that fit into kind of the same positioning price points, on a scale, right? In terms of what kind of customers these are targeted for. And of course, all of our small business products are targeted from, anywhere from 5 users all the way up to 500 users on the higher end. Now we are planning on launching some additional larger boxes as well, like the 800, the 700, again, to match up with what the ATP series has, but that's coming a little bit later this year. But we wanted to focus on where majority of our business is and the majority of our customer base for the USG series has demand and have a need to get to a UTM throughput speed that can meet a lot of the throughputs that are available there out in the out in the system now, and not have to pay the premium prices of moving all the way up to an ATP series. Now, the numbers here that you see, again, it's theoretical max throughput, right? Because we are using the largest packet sizes, we're using multiple sessions to see where the breaking point of the product is. So in those lab tests, we get 250 megabits per second. If you were to do real world kind of connectivity with mixed packet sizes and things, typically my gauge is about 60 to 70% of that number. So this is perfect. The USG Flex 100 is perfect for somebody who has maybe a 100 meg connection or 150 meg, maybe around that point. And so just take about half to 60% of it, and you'll be perfectly fine. I think even if you do a speed test, it's going to actually show a lot higher than even those numbers. So your results may vary depending on where you're at, but that's kind of the gauge where I usually keep how to spec out the devices for the customers. And we've partnered with some of the leading security specialists for our products, McAfee, WebRoot, LastLine, Trend Micro, Bitdefender, to providing a lot of the security functionality, security services, and the different stream engines that are there, from content filtering to anti-spam, for all those things. So the USG Flex still has all of those services that you're used to. They may be categorized a little bit different than what you're used to in terms of the systems, how they're called, like compared to what the USGs are, because we did group some services together as part of like a web filtering or as a filtering type license. But if you are familiar with the ATP, it's going to be matching up to what the ATP series offers to you today. Okay, everything but sandboxing. That's pretty much the main differences between the USG series, including the Flex versus the ATP. And we're working actually on a document that will give you that comparison, like from a spec sheet standpoint, to see, hey, what is the difference between the existing USG? What's the comparison with the USG series? The USG Flex, and what is the difference between the ATP? So it'll be kind of a one map diagram of kind of some of the high level key feature sets, like we've done in the past that you've seen, to see what are the main differences, so that you can help your customers decide which models to choose. Now, you can still buy the USG models, and that will still continue. All the USG higher end models that do not have a Flex version of it will still continue as well. So USG 40s and 60s, if you're looking for more just the low cost firewall that still has UTM support, the current what it has now, you can still buy that. But if you want to upgrade a little bit, it gives you this upgrade step to get to the USG Flex model line. And then if you want to go top of the line, you can then go to the ATP series as well, right? So there's a good, better, best that's still going to be available at this time for these models. But really, our portfolio is about these current three models. It's available again, like I mentioned, June. So middle of June is when we have stock. Actually, stock is already arriving, and so we're getting that out to our distributions. If you want to be able to get some of these on your hands to test out. They're pretty much going to fit. They're going to look and feel like our ATP series and even our USG series in a lot of ways. So you can get that from our sales team. So reach out to our sales reps. You have dedicated reps if you are partners with us. Talk to them, see how you can get more information, or at least get into the queue, so that when there are products that arrive, that you have you can allocate these to yourself, or allocate it for your customers, so you can start deploying them in field trials or whatever. But I think from a transitional standpoint, it's going to be really easy. Now, one thing to note, what we're also going to be doing to help with the traditional state, right, or the transition state of these products, is that the USG Flex, actually I'll mention it in just a bit. We have a naming convention that will help you, basically, that goes there. But the scale between the USG Flex 100 all the way to the 500 is all based on UTM. So you can see here, UTM throughput with the enhanced mode is 380 megabits per second. Using just the stream mode, it's 250 megabits per second, right? And then all the way up to the Flex 500, it does 860 megabits with the enhanced, 700 megabits with the stream engine. So that's just a little bit of an improvement. But again, if you're trying to push to the next iteration for a 400 meg connection or a 500 meg connection, then the enhanced mode would work really well for that. Okay, so I wanted to cover something that's very important as well. We want to let you know about that the USG Flex is flexible in that it can help you to migrate your existing USG series to this USG Flex. So even though you could still buy the USG, you may have customers who go, you know what, I'm ready for a an upgrade or to move to kind of the next iteration, and they don't need the ATP series, then the USG Flex could be a perfect transition for them. And I think their number one issue has always been, well, they still have, licenses that are still on, on the device, right? And so how do we manage the transition of that? They don't want to waste, 5 months or so of licenses that they have already existing on the existing unit. And so a lot of customers we've had in the past during these kinds of transitions is that the customer will just wait 5 months before they do that. That's not good for us. It's not good for you as a, you want to get the sale, you want to get to move on with that. But we have a solution for that. So we want to make sure that migration of service is simple. So when you migrate from the USG series to the Flex, you're actually able to migrate all of your existing active security services to the new platform. So really it's about getting the new platform into the customer's hands. Not only are they getting benefit of it, but they're also going to get, be able to move their existing services over, which actually could be a benefit for you if you are a managed service provider. It allows for them to not have to all automatically just pay for, something large up front, but still get benefit of the contract or the years. You could probably lock them in for an additional year after that first, after the 6 months, right? So this is an opportunity for you to do that as well, not only to improve their usability and their quality of service, but be able to offer it as an additional service as well, and also maybe improve their performance. So let's say, for example, you have web filtering, you have your IPS, which is your IDP app patrol, you have malware, you have email security, and you have like secure reporter, right? And these are all expiring at different times because let's say they activated a la carte, and so they're not co-terminated at the same time. But you can see web filtering has 7 months left. So basically what we'll do is we will extend all the services to your maximum or to your largest licensing group, right? So in this particular case, you had 7 months of content filtering left. We will increase all of the other services to 7 months. So they will all co-terminate with the 7 months left. So even though they bought, let's say, if they bought a device that was that had no hardware, because we will offer USG Flex both in a hardware-only version and also as a bundled version that includes the 1 year licenses included, right? So if they just wanted to upgrade from an existing, they don't want to buy additional licenses yet, you can still upgrade them to a hardware version. It will pass on the 7 months to the new USG Flex. Now, if they bought a bundled version, which comes with 1 year of bundled licenses across the board for everything, we're going to take those 7 months and we're going to tack on the 12 months. So it's going to add 7 months to the 12 months there. So you'll have 19 months of security services on the new USG Flex bundle or onto that new USG hardware. So again, it's trying to help you get your customers to migrate, because we do believe that from a hardware perspective, they're going to get benefit from a security standpoint, from all those kind of services that we offer on the new platform. You're going to get much more benefit from it. So migrating to us, I think, is more important because we know that once customers are on the platform, they're very likely to renew or to pay for additional services for the month, right, or for the year. And so that's recurring revenue for both the partners and for us, of course, and we encourage that. So we want to make sure that the hardware platform is always going to be up to kind of peak performance per se, and allow for you to gather those every year. So service migration mapping, the USG 40 and the 40W will map over to the USG Flex, and we're also launching the USG Flex 100W, so a wireless equivalent. The USG 60 model will go to the USG Flex 200, USG 110 goes to the 500. The USG 210 also is going to the 500 from a performance level. We're kind of consolidating those two model lines together. And the USG 310 will go to a USG Flex 100 that will be out later this year. There's also plans for the USG Flex 800 as well to map the higher end. But that is also, again, coming later this year. Now, to help with this, you don't need to kind of take a picture of this or anything like that. You just need to just remember that on the box and actually on the belly label of the product, on on our marketing material, when we put it into distribution, we're actually going to put, and it's actually certified to be called the USG, like a USG series. So for example, USG Flex 100 is also named in parentheses USG 40 version 2, right? So that will help you to even from a migration from your customers, they could just basically say, well, you're going from a USG 40, we're going to a USG 40 version 2, but it's now called USG Flex 100, right? So it will help you, and even on the belly label of the product will also say USG 40 V2. The carton itself, the brown box, all of that will also say USG 40 V2. So it will help to kind of stem any confusion. And when people have, well, how is this different? Per se, it's basically a better version of what you're already using. So I think from a customer acceptance level, they're more comfortable with knowing that, oh, okay, it's just the upgraded version of what I currently have. So hopefully that will help to eliminate kind of barriers that you may encounter, or over education that you have to do just to get the customer to realize, like, well, it's just pretty much the same thing, just higher performance, better security, scanning, things like that. All right. So that's what we're doing within our product. And just a reminder as well, the USG Flex is also part of our one of 7 vendors in the world that offer both certified connectivity to AWS on the Amazon side for the VPC firewall, and also Microsoft Azure. So especially nowadays in our connectivity state, everything's moving to the cloud. A lot of the companies, or you're maybe part of projects that want to go to the higher end, or to be able to go to the cloud side of version, these products will be able to connect to those clouds to make those connectivities. Joe asks a question: can you migrate clients who have the VPN line? We have to check, because I think it would be similar. There's no, I guess from the VPN line, there are only some, I guess there's only content filtering and anti-spam on the VPN line. So I will have to check to see if there is any kind of migration there, Joe, that goes from the VPN line over to the USG Flex. I would believe that there should be, because even if you got a hardware only model, it should be able to pass on. Now, the question comes into play of if the VPN series only supports 2 licenses, the content filtering and anti-spam, do you get all of the other services, right? I don't think that would happen. I think if anything, because we do offer the anti-spam content filtering as an a la carte license, that may be able to transfer over. But I will check with our headquarters. That's a good question. So that's pretty much the introduction to our USG Flex model line. If you are not a partner, I encourage you to become part of our partner program. It is free. It offers extra discounts off on these kinds of products, all of our business products, including the USG Flex. Some major double-digit margin opportunities, even at the silver level when you first start. So if you sign up today, you automatically get to the silver level. If you want to get the maximum margin available, you can go, you just have to meet some requirements. So in order to maintain your silver plan, your qualifying sales have to be $6,000 in a 6-month period. So that's only $1K per month to be able to maintain your silver. And that's very doable. It's probably like 2 firewalls a month. So if you can sell 2 firewalls with no other accessories, no switches, no access points, you're probably in a silver tier anyways. But we really want you to get to a gold tier, because that gives you the maximum support, gives you the maximum margins on these kinds of products. But of course, work with our sales team if you want to find out more information on what the margins are for your tier, or where you qualify, and how to even sign up as a partner. But that's where we want you to be. We want to be your partner, working through our distribution partners to giving you a solution that makes sense, where you can make revenue, you can make money off of selling Zyxel products. And so that's why we kind of have it positioned, with all that. So on any kind of discounts and rebates, you'll see that directly through distribution when you are part of the program. And of course, if you want to look at some leasing options as well, we also have that. But we offer free tech support, free webinars. There are tech supports in the US. It's actually next door to our Anaheim office. I usually have to say it's next door to where I am, but I'm at home, so that doesn't work. But it's next to our actual physical office in Anaheim. So actually, you know what? They're no longer next to us. They're actually inside our building now. So we've moved them over into our building. So they're actually with us in the building, but technically remote now too. But it's really aggressive in terms of what we offer out there. So work with our sales team. We'd love to sign you up. Again, it's for free. And so let's get that going. And you can partner through D&H, Ingram, Synix, Wave, and Target Distribution as well. All right, so there you survived. It was only about 35, 40 minutes for joining the webinar. So any of those who are here now, there's quite a few of you. So I'm super excited to see what we can do with this, and if you have any other questions and things like that. So if you have any questions, it's your turn to ask them. Please use the Q&A section to ask me those questions. If you don't think of anything now, but you want to ask me later, my email is tri, @Zyxel.com. So just those 3 letters, tri@Zyxel.com. Send me a message. Let me know what you think. Contact your sales reps to see if you can get your hands on some of these early units that come through so that you can start testing them, especially if you're excited about, hey, I've got customers who need to transition from transition from a USG series, and I want to move them to the new platform. And they weren't ready to go to an ATP because they don't need the full sandboxing functionality, but they want something within kind of the similar price point to the USG series. And so you're probably going to be able to move them along to a new series with very minimal, especially if you're charging like a monthly fee. You could probably just move them over and just maintain that, and either just do a small upgrade fee, to cover kind of the hardware cost per se. You could probably absorb that and continue your contract services with them. Jeff says, pick me. Well, I'm leaving it to marketing's hands. They have a way to randomize all these things, so they will do that. Argus asks, USG 1900, what will be the replacement model? It will likely be the ATP 8, sorry, not ATP, the USG Flex 800, or a lot of times, most of our customers who use, who are in that 1900 series, they typically already moving to the ATP series. So ATP 800, because when you get to the larger boxes, your biggest concerns a lot of times is like more security. And so the performance and being able to both enhanced and stream based is going to be a powerful tool that you want to have the flexibility for on that higher end level. So I would suggest actually the USG 1900, people go to a ATP 800 type box. Now, if we have to drop it down a little bit, if you had to drop down in budget, then you could still go with the USG Flex 800, but until that comes out. What's the ETA for the USG Flex Nebula compatible? That'll be probably announced sometime, I don't know, sometime soon. We believe it's going to be towards the end of the year that it will be Nebula compatible. Then truly it will be kind of Flex, right? I think that's where we just have to walk through these months of here's what you used to use for the USG, here is a better version of USG, and then we'll get to the cloud. What is the price point versus the model that they will be replacing? It could be anywhere between, I would say in general, it's probably about like a 10% difference. So you'll see that on the price there, Richard. Especially from the performance differences and things like that with this new hardware, it's going to be about that. Thank you for the questions. Marketing is the best. I think Joe is trying to kiss up to the marketing folk here to try to get his way into a $50 Amazon gift card. Joe says, shh, it's a secret. That's a secret weapon, is to get to the marketing people. Well, if you do know who our marketing people is, I guess you could email them, but then I guess that wouldn't be work. Are the hardware specs of the Flex the same as the ATP at the same level? From a hardware, like from a chipset perspective, James, I would say yes. So definitely that's a lot of what we're leveraging. And then, but the main difference is that ATP has the sandboxing engine in there. So if you're looking to do 0-day sandboxing threat management to protect against unknown threats, then you want to go to the ATP level. But even today, as you're using the UTM series in the USGs, a lot of scenarios, it works perfectly fine. So it's all about balancing, hey, do I want the top end, the highest end video card versus a middle range video card, right? It just depends on what you're doing. If you need, higher end stuff, or if you just need a kind of I need something that does protect. So this is still an optimal way of protecting at a price point that may be more for the budget conscious, You may have a lot of customers, at least so you can give them the options, right? You can go from a good, better, best. And so we always like to have that good, better, best if possible. The thing too is you can, again, start with the hardware platform only in any new cases. All of the hardware platforms, like even at the hardware only, it will come with 30 days free trial of all the services. So I would encourage you to be able to upgrade customers or even sell into customers a hardware version only. Again, like I mentioned earlier in my webinar, that a lot of end customers don't even see value in network security because they can't see that it's happening. So they're like, well, how do I know I'm even being attacked? Why am I paying extra money for this protection when I don't even see, like, I can't tell if I'm being protected or not, right? And with our security platform, you're able to, like with our USG Flex as well, you're able to subscribe to or to use within the bundle system what we call Secu Reporter, right? And Secu Reporter is basically a cloud-based logging service that your USGs and your firewalls can send information, and it collects it, it analyzes it, it puts it in nice graphs. It can give you monthly emails to you and your customer on a report of, you know, who are the attacks, what are the top attacks, what viruses did it block, how many viruses, who are your top bandwidth users, what are the top websites they go to, anything that you want to put in there. It's a customizable report. And that's really what will show value to your customer, right? Okay, so you can say, hey, look, you've been paying $50 a month for this service. This is what we've been protecting you against, right? And that can really go, oh, wow, that's a lot of things that, you know, and a lot of visibility that makes sense, right? So that's what I would use. And when you buy the bundle or with the bundled system or with the licenses that are bundled together, it includes the 1-year Secu Reporter in there as well. So it also has a 30-day trial on that too. So I think part of the whole thing about getting these products seeded out there into the market gives you a real gold mine of services that you can sell on top of it, right? I just did a webinar, I think 2 weeks ago. You can check out on some of the recordings there. I did one on how, you know, using USGs, using ATPs as a security point, be really a gold mine in being able to offer additional services on top of it, right? To be able to give them how to block Facebook, how to block YouTube, how to block any kind of application that's out there using these firewalls, and be able to record them and show them the logging and all that goes into play. Let's see, Paul asks, can one add the sandboxing feature to the Flex? I will say, in the future, yes, with a license, Paul. But that's coming. It will be. Let's see. Tom asked, what kind of processes are you migrating to? Basically, they're all Cavium chipsets. So we're going to a Cavium. Even the USG series is a Cavium, but we're going to I forgot which exact model. I think it's the Octava. I forgot what it's called. It's an oct number 8 something, right? But it's like an 8000 series, I think, chipset for the Cavium. Would you post my email address? So yeah, here's my email address. tri@zyxel.com. Mark asks, June 1st or June 15th availability. June 1st will be the announcement of the launch. That's going to be what we globally do a press release for. So you guys get the first preview of what this product line looks like. But the press release goes out June 1st, so next Tuesday. And June 15th is when we will most likely have stock available within the channel. So if you need to either place like pre-orders or get something reserved, contact your sales team. Let's see, what's the best device to support 6 megabit streaming? Actually, 6 megabit is not really that much, Adam. In terms of even the lowest end will be able to support it, because we're talking about even at 6 megabits is, you know, you need like 6,000 kilobits per second to do that kind of streaming. You only need something that will do like 10 or 12 megabits per second, even with all the security services turned on, to be able to support it. And here in this particular device, we're talking hundreds of megabits. So depends on the application. If you don't care about the security, then you could even go to like a USG 20 VPN series. Like even our lowest end security appliance can handle that kind of throughput. Now, if you're talking about multiple 6 meg streams, then even if in a household here, even a ATP, I have an ATP 100 in my home, and that, basically equivalence would be a USG Flex 100. And using that in the home, I have multiple devices, several gaming consoles that are running with the kids here, and with Netflix and all those streaming stuff that's going on at the same time too. So it's able to handle all of that, no problem. Louis asks, I have had mixed success with Secure Reporter on ATP. Can you provide advice on where to access the current service documentation? Please contact our, just send me an email, Louis. I will forward you on to our system engineer to get you that information. In general, Secure Reporter, if you have certain problems, let us know, because we will definitely work through that if there is. So our system engineer can help to record that and to get that documented if it's not already documented. If you haven't contacted our support yet, please do. But either send me an email. I will hook you up to our system engineer to get some more information. Matthew asks, what about LTE 5G modem support failover using the USB connection? Currently, there's limited support. If there are specific models that you need to get that kind of support, please let us know as a request, and we will see what we can do about it. The biggest challenge that we've had with implementing LTE and 5G modem support is a lot of the dongles that you would typically buy in the open market from the service provider, they're actually routers themselves that have really a hard way. We have no way to easily trigger them to automatically connect. A lot of them are built as like a hotspot router. So once you plugged it in, the moment you try to go get access, it prompts you for a login page for you to type in, or you click a button in order to enable the 3G or the 5G LTE connectivity. And that's a problem for us, because in a hardware perspective, we can't trigger that view, or we can't trigger that browser to then click a button right virtually inside the device. So that's where it requires more user intervention. So we're still trying to figure out how to work through that. The devices don't have an LTE chip slot to be put into it, so there's kind of no way to do that. Now, if there's more of a modem dongle, but unfortunately, all the ones that we've seen in the open market where you would buy, when you would subscribe to a LTE modem service, those are all built-in routers. And so that becomes a real problem for us. Randy says, we've had good luck with the USB 551L. Yeah, the 551L on the ATP, it will work, but it's an older device. It's harder to find, I think. And so you being able to find it in the market, a lot of times people have been trying to find them on the black market, right? So, or the gray market. I wouldn't say black market, but in the gray market out there, through different channels. But I think the USB 551L is not the active one that you would normally get if you went through the service provider. Yeah, you have to go through a third party somewhere. Somebody has it for sale, or they've just been sitting on them for the last several years. But if you can find them, but unfortunately, to get the newer devices, and those modems like the USB 551, they didn't have those built-in router or hotspot functions. So that's why we were able to actually send it AT commands and actually interface with it and actually talk to it directly as a modem to tell it, hey, dial, hey, try again, those kinds of things. And that's where the biggest challenges of those LTEs come into play. Now, we do have some products that will be coming out in the horizon that offer a built-in LTE, kind of basic LTE router that then we can hook up and utilize as an Ethernet interface to a USG or to a USG Flex or ATP. So that might be the easiest way. But our focus really is about fiber connectivity to it. So you can actually terminate fiber to a USG Flex directly across all the models, as well as use the Ethernet WAN as well to provide the WAN connectivity. And of course, all the features that you're used to, hotspot management, failover, WAN, multiple WAN load balancing failover, all those high availability functions for VPN. Everything that you've grown to love in the USG series is part of that USG Flex. So we've kind of migrated all that through. Yeah, and Randy, if you happen to win, if you win the $50, you'll be able to use that $50 on Amazon, right? To get the $40 USB 551 card there, and have $10 to spend on something else. All right. If there are no other questions, again, thank you so much for hanging out with me for the past hour. Again, appreciate that you are either a partner with Zyxel. Thank you for being a partner if you are. And hopefully, if you're not a partner, I hope I could be able to thank you next time for being a partner as well. But thank you for joining us anyways. Hopefully you can contact our sales. Again, become a partner. There's no risk. There's no fee. There's nothing that costs you, but it just gives you all the benefits, right? So as long as you are a value-added reseller and you are qualified to it, then it makes perfect sense to do that so that you can start earning a margin on it. All of the licenses and things like that right now for the USG Flex as well, I forgot to mention, is also managed the same way in the USG, like the USG series in myzyxel.com. So if you don't have a myzyxel.com account, please go to myzyxel.com and register like a firewall or create an account there, because that's where all of our management systems for licenses happen. So do that. And again, if you have any questions, email me, try@zyxel.com. If there are topics that you want me to cover that could help you out in your business, or to learn about certain technologies that Zyxel has, or even talk about maybe industry things that you are curious about or Zyxel's perspective on, please let me know. Again, send it to try@zyxel.com, and we'd love to talk to you and interact with you in another webinar. So if that is all, I thank you much, and thank you, Louis. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, everybody, for joining this afternoon. Hope you have a great and safe rest of your day, rest of your week. Hope you had a great weekend, and looking forward to doing business with you. Thank you for being a network ally with Zyxel. We'll see you next time.